Welcome to another Back to Ours right on your sofa for Top Tips Tuesday. And this week we're finding out how to make a bird's nest. No, not the one on the top of my head, one for your table. So, over to Gavinia for the tips. Just in a car.
Top Tips Tuesday, tell us how you do it your way. If you're a builder or a painter, a singer or a queen, play chess, make a dress, or something in between. It's Top Tips Tuesday, show us how you do it your way.
Okay, so what I'm going to do today, what I've done is I've made a bird's nest out of twigs and pussy willow from the garden, and I've actually used a celebrations container. You can use any sort of container as long as it's obviously waterproof. And then I've filled it with oasis, flower oasis, and soaked it. That's the most important thing, that you get a really good soak on your oasis. And then I've taped it in place just to keep it in place. And then what I've done out to the garden, I've used different greeneries. I've got, say, pussy willow, I've got ivy, I've got long French ruscus. I've got all different greeneries, a nice mixture of greeneries. And what I do, I start off with the greenery first. I fill up with the green, because you don't need a lot of flowers. And the more greenery, obviously it's cheaper if you get it from your garden, the more greenery you use, the less flowers you have to use. So I'm just going to put a few bits in, and nice different textures and colours of greenery always make it look more interesting. So I feel, but obviously I've left space for the flowers. Right, and then I'm going to start off with the roses. So what I'm going to do first is condition the roses, what we call conditioning, which is taking off the leaves, leaving just a couple up to near the top, and take any thorns off, because you don't want a prick in your hand, do you? And then I'm going to cut it just above the thing, and then normally I'd use my fingernail to poke a hole, but because I've just had my nails done, I'm going to use a pencil. So, and because this is a table decoration that we're doing, we don't want it too high, so you've got to think of, you've got to be able to see your guests over it, and all the time thinking of your shape. I've gone for nice bright yellow flowers today, with it being for Easter. I was going to go for a yellow dress, but then I didn't want to blend in, so I've gone for something a bit pinker. Although I do look like a well-kept grave, don't I, with all these flowers? Yeah. So I've done sort of like the 4 points of the clock and my height, and then I'm going to go on to some tulips. Taking the big leaf off, again cutting down and using my pencil. I'm using a pencil because with tulips, they've got a hollow stem. So if I try pushing it into the oasis, it'll split the stem. And then I'm just basically filling in round the roses, so my colours are evenly sort of spaced. Oh, those haven't gone in. And when I'm cutting the flowers, I'm cutting on a stem. This is more so when you're going to put your flowers in a vase, because then obviously if it touches the bottom of the vase, the water can't get in. So this is keeping it so the water can still get into the flowers. When you buy flowers from a cemetery, that's where I pinch them from. When you buy flowers from the shop or anywhere like that, always cut your flowers before you put them in a vase, because it's like skin. So this seals like the skin. So you need to re-cut that so that the water can get to it. If you don't, that's when your flowers will start wilting. And that's a mistake a lot of people do. And then they say, my flowers aren't surviving. It's because they haven't cut them, they've sealed over, and the water's not getting to them. And also, if you with flowers as well, sometimes if you're doing things like this, say I had guests coming tonight and I wanted my flowers to open quite quickly, like I wanted these to open today. These were really tight when I bought them. Give them a bit of a shock with hot water and it'll just speed up the opening. Especially with lilies, that works really well with lilies. So as you can see, I'm sort of just building round, making sure like because I'm using different colours and the different flowers, that they're evenly sort of spaced round. And when you're doing table decorations, always think of the shape of your table as well. So if like you're doing a longer table, try and bring it out a little bit longer. Always looks more appealing to the table. So if you've got guests sat further down the table, they can see a bit of it as well. But I think we're not far off. But again, if you keep looking at the shape, I've got a nice rounded shape there. I don't want to cover the bird's nest too much, because obviously with it being Easter, that was one of my main things I wanted to show off. And then, because what I'm going to finish off with, and another tip as well, if you bought, like I got these flowers, don't mean you have to use all of them. Use what you need and then put the other flowers somewhere else. You don't have to cram them all in. Sometimes less is more. You've got to remember that. Less is more, says me. And then I'm just going to finish off. I've got some little eggs and I'm just going to, if I can, get them in. I mean, if you wanted, you could put chocolate eggs on if you're putting them on the table. And these, I'm just threading through on the twigs. And voila, perfect for any Easter table or any occasion. You just can change the colours or the flowers, take the eggs out if it's not for Easter, obviously. But have a go, that's the main thing. Have a go, it's not difficult. Voila. What do you think of Mummy's flowers? No? Not that impressed. But have a go, that's the main thing. Don't be scared.
Thanks for that, Gavinia. Join us next week for more top tips. It's time for me to swan off.